Prabhupada's Hidden Glories. Chapter 4. Enormous Ramifications. The main issue in the Hare Krishna movement. The honest investigation into Srila Prabhupada's departure under suspicious circumstances is of great relevance and importance to the future success of the Hare Krishna movement, even though many years have passed. The evidence will show that Srila Prabhupada was indeed poisoned, as a fact, and it appears that Srila Prabhupada's poisoners became initiating gurus and then deeply influenced ISKCON with unauthorized and invented policies and doctrines which were never given by Srila Prabhupada. This is the subject of this two-book set, The Poisoning of Srila Prabhupada's Body, and then His Mission. Everything in ISKCON since 1977 would be colored by this poisoning and the poisoners. As we will see in ISKCON's history, the Hare Krishna movement was hijacked and spoiled. How can this be good? The ramifications of such pollution of Srila Prabhupada's mission are enormous and require a complete reformation. The slate must be cleaned, and we must go back to the start line and begin over. Dishonest, corrupted, and compromised ISKCON misleaders in bed with the poisoner hijackers regime will, of course, deny the facts and evidence. The evidence that Srila Prabhupada was poisoned should be the primary issue in the Hare Krishna movement. All other issues are secondary to this crime of the millennium. Book changes issue, guru issue, initiations issue, deviations, child abuse. All this came after 1977 and the poisoning. There has been to date no honest institutional accounting for this evidence, only cover-ups and denials. We should uncover the factual ISKCON history and the evidence of Srila Prabhupada's disappearance. Thus, this compilation of facts and evidence, documents and forensic studies, with theological discussions, realizations, and conclusions. Actual history often differs from the popular version, requiring reconstruction by honest historians who build verified evidence into an accurate picture of the past. Truth is an end in itself, always worthy and necessary. Srila Prabhupada said, "Among the public, those who are more honest will not dislike, but rather respect our straightforwardness. If we just go on giving our message as it is, it will gradually be accepted for what it is." Anyone who has affection for Srila Prabhupada, or has received any measure of his divine grace, upon understanding that Srila Prabhupada was poisoned with heavy metals, will easily grasp how the Hare Krishna movement has been corrupted, and that the poisoners of the founder Acharya's physical body have also poisoned his mission and his mercy. How could those who defiled Srila Prabhupada's body not do the same to ISKCON? In fact, as seen in our ISKCON history chapters, they engineered a guru-jacking of the movement by illegally assuming the post of supposed acharyas and instituting a flawed system of promotion to guruhood based on fealty and patronage. Srila Prabhupada's being poisoned by insiders for personal gain explains the turbulent history and troubles the Hare Krishna movement has undergone since His divine grace physically departed. The profound ramifications of ISKCON's takeover are painful for Srila Prabhupada's followers, who accept that the secure platform for true spiritual life is Srila Prabhupada's books and instructions, not the misleaders or their deviant policies that have created havoc. Readers will become convinced of foul play as they progress through the following chapters, and will surely support an overhaul of Srila Prabhupada's mission for the sake of restoring its spiritual health. Evidence presented in this book reveals beyond a reasonable doubt that some of the senior disciples, headed by one leader, executed a plan of poisoning Srila Prabhupada's body in a poison coup. The identity of all the participants is not yet conclusively determined, but their exposure is near at hand. Srila Prabhupada's mission has been usurped by the same people who poisoned him, and they are those who proclaimed their divine right as the inheritors of the kingdom and his missionary assets. It would be a great disservice to his divine grace if his followers did not rectify this dire situation. Deep discussion and sincere cooperation is needed to correct the endemic corruption that has consumed ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada's mission. This disease must be purged from a restored Hare Krishna movement. Why bring this poison issue up again? This question implies two preconceived misconceptions and prejudices. The poisoning is unprovable and simply speculation. The issue has already been disproved and settled. But the evidence in this book makes the case that Srila Prabhupada's poisoning with heavy metals is now proven as a fact, clear to any reasonable person who actually looks at it. No official, honest, and full ISKCON investigation was ever done, and it was the private investigation that determined the truth of poisoning. We will see from the evidence presented herein that Srila Prabhupada was indeed poisoned lethally by cadmium. Since becoming involved with the private investigative efforts by concerned devotees, several times I turned away from the issue for years at a time, hoping others would do the work. After my first book, Naveen Krishna asked me to do a response to the GBC book, Not That I Am Poisoned. Reluctantly I began, knowing it to be such an emotionally charged and divisive issue. We wanted a reorganized and expanded update of the evidence and all issues as a study reference. This compelling evidence deserves an objective look by all Srila Prabhupada's followers. We hope law enforcement agencies will receive full cooperation from ISKCON. Nityananda Das, 2020. Some question why we should belabor this issue again. That what is done, and now we should focus on positive work going forward. Regarding a rationale for this book, here are two references. Suppose if I am here and somebody kills me, and if you do not protest, is it a very good business? People will be surprised that so many disciples are there, and this man is being killed, and nobody does anything. SP Lecture, October 27th, 1974. Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 9. The devotee should be more tolerant than the tree, and more submissive than the grass. He should offer all honor to others, but may not accept any honor for himself. In spite of Lord Chaitanya's being so humble and meek as a devotee, when he was informed about injuries inflicted on the body of Sri Nityananda, he immediately ran to the spot and wanted to kill the offenders, Yagai, and Madhai. This behavior of Lord Chaitanya is very significant. It shows that a Vaishnava may be very tolerant and meek, foregoing everything for his personal honor, but when it is a question of the honor of Krishna or his devotee, he will not tolerate any insult or poisoning. Srila Prabhupada's followers cannot tolerate physical injury against Srila Prabhupada, much less a torturous chronic cadmium poisoning. Upon the pure devotee being offended, Shastra advises one defeats the offending party, gives up his life, or leaves that place, lest he falls down from his position of devotion. It is too late to prevent it, but not too late to investigate, find the truth, and to defeat the culprits. With the huge volume of evidence validating the crime, who can neglect their duty to defend the honor of Srila Prabhupada? And if someone wants to do further tests for further confirmation, great. Let's just make sure that whoever does them is competent and trustworthy with unbiased observers. Another reason to revisit this issue again is that hardly anyone understands the actual evidence. No one reads much anymore. It is the age of superficial 2-minute video clip sound bites, and there is no time, clarity of mind, or determination to actually properly understand any issue. Practically everything these days is propaganda or entertainment. So we made a comprehensive, organized presentation of all the facts and evidence, sort of like a Prabhupada's Departure for Dummies kind of reference book, with subtitles and short, categorically organized chapters. This is a manual that covers the whole subject with objectivity, accuracy, honesty, and clarity. The pen is mightier than the sword, and we hope all will find this book useful, even in just skimming through it and by touching up on selected chapters of facts and evidence. The relevance of the issue, why we should be concerned. Some think the circumstances of Srila Prabhupada's passing away is not as significant as his life and achievements, and that we should focus on his life instead. This, however, poses an unnecessary either-or scenario, and does not recognize the grave consequences for Srila Prabhupada's life work of preaching Krishna consciousness, due to his mission being usurped by poisoners who have abducted the assets and ruined ISKCON. We must preserve Srila Prabhupada's life accomplishments. Srila Prabhupada's poisoning raises immense concerns for the integrity and purity of Srila Prabhupada's mission. Should a robbed bank just go on with its business and forget going after the bank robbers, even after they killed the manager and diverted all incoming future bank deposits to their own accounts? Our conscience should be clear. When we meet Srila Prabhupada again, he will know we acted in his defense, even if better late than never. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. Old English saying. A letter of encouragement we received. How's the book going? Please persevere, as these written records will eventually expose the full truth. In time, people will begin to question the facts without bias or hindrance. An expansive and in-depth account of events should be available for assessment. All this hard work will ultimately bear fruition. Those who poisoned Srila Prabhupada either still have a place or hand in Srila Prabhupada's institution, or their followers, supporters, and beneficiaries are managing ISKCON with the hijackers' post-1977 policies. This hijacking is a proven historical fact, as seen in later chapters. The poisoners directly or indirectly continue to defile the sacred mission of Srila Prabhupada, whose followers' duty is to find and remove them. How can we neglect this? We all must study the facts and evidence and set matters right again. It is essential that honest devotees set the agenda for the purification of the movement. Everyone must decide whether they will continue to support the present ISKCON leadership, which has covered up and denied what is now found to be true, or act to restore the Mission C Book 2. The age of hypocrisy has seeped deep into the Hare Krishna movement, as its misleaders defend their ambitions and positions with disinformation to obscure the truth that Srila Prabhupada was poisoned. Once the clear, irrefutable evidence of this truth is known, their ill-gotten guru franchises will be lost. This is the reason for their denials. It is said, "You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink." Srila Prabhupada also said that you cannot wake one up who is pretending to be sleeping. Imagine getting a horse to drink while it is pretending to be asleep. The GBC is not interested in the truth. They are a guru club, voting themselves into a status of absolute authority and divinity, with godly treatment, worship, wealth, prestige, perks, and all facilities. The truth of Srila Prabhupada's poisoning seriously threatens their status quo, and anything that threatens this guru club will be criticized as demonic, lies, and spiritually dangerous. But their corruption will be finished when enough devotees understand that Srila Prabhupada's poisoning was the means by which their hijacking and deviant policies were established. Examine the evidence with an open and unbiased mind. Make your own judgment, and then consider what should be done. Should we continue our acquiescence and keep sitting on the fence, supporting the administration of poisoners and their followers, even tacitly wanting to be cooperative, gentle-hearted, and unoffensive? So you all write very strongly, vehemently. Even if it is a little offensive, still these rascals should be taught a lesson. Yes, they're misleading. SPL, April 19th, 1973. We should not avoid open discussion, discourse, and debate of controversial and sensitive issues, thereby neglecting the corruption of Srila Prabhupada's instructions and teachings. It is spiritually healthy to properly address controversial topics that arise amongst devotees and which have everything to do with their progress in Krishna consciousness. Without open debate and discussion, there cannot be a true spiritual society. Siddhanta Baliya Chita Nakara. Also, Iha Haite Krishna Laj Sudrida Manasa. A sincere student should not neglect to discuss the conclusions of the Shastras, considering them controversial, for such discussions strengthen the mind. Thus one's mind becomes attached to Krishna.